You'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Councilors, approval of the agenda. So moved. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. And a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Go ahead and move on. So we'll go ahead and open the work study, discussion regarding the process and structure of the Town of Taos budget. I'm going to turn it over to Abigail.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you for coming.
And before we get started, I just want to thank the staff for, with this in a short notice, putting this together. I know I asked a lot, just wanted it as simple as possible so that everybody had a good understanding of how we get started. So I want to thank the staff for doing this. Thank you.
Thanks. So, Mr. Mayor, council members, we did meet with the mayor, and he provides some insights to what information he thought would be valuable to us here today. So our goal is to give the mayor and council an overview of our budget process. We'll talk about the process that Town of Taos initiates when we begin our budgeting. And then we'll all move on to the structure. The structure will include the overall budget amount as well as our largest capital enterprise special fund and our general fund. And then we'll also be providing a summary of our expenses and revenues for fiscal year 2013-14 current year. And then we'll proceed with reviewing budget assumptions and priorities for fiscal year 14-15. And we'll be closing with department presentations by our department heads. In the past year, they did provide a presentation to the mayor and council, and in that presentation they included their duties and responsibilities, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, as well as a list of their budget resources, number of employees that they work with. We will abbreviate that because there's a lot of information that we need to cover. I think you have that information in your list that would have in that campaign. If not, we're happy to get you that information. So the department heads will provide a quick overview. We'll begin with finance to proceed with public works because we have the largest departments, and they'll proceed in that fashion. Those are the largest departments and monetarily, and we will follow. And department heads, thank you for showing up. If you do have to go after your presentation, I understand stuff to get done, and if you want to stay, then you're welcome to do so. And so that's my goal for today, Mr. Mayor and Council, and with that, I'll turn it over to Marietta.
Good morning, Mayor, council members, town staff. I'm going to just speak, not use a microphone. I think if you can hear me, if that's okay. As Abigail said, we're going to go over the process, the structure, the current budget, and the department overview. And when we're talking about the information, it's the beginning of the fiscal year 2013-14. So just so that you know that that's where what the numbers start with. We've obviously done budget adjustments throughout the year, but you will be seeing those in the monthly reports when we present them to you at our second council meeting of each month. So what you have in front of you, a hard copy for the council member and the mayor. The first part will be your budget, the overview. We did include the budget for you on a hard copy, and then the capital improvements plan and a budget calendar, all within the book. So we'll just go forward. This is a review based on the request by the new mayor and the council members. So going through the budget process, just really what we do is we start with a 5-year budget plan. We've already presented that. We've started working that in October. We actually presented it in January to the council. We went with that plan and we did a budget retreat and set priorities. So that was the next step, and that happened late January. We are now in the proposed draft. We're meeting with the department heads, the manager, and myself to go over their budgets based on those priorities that were done. Vetting of the draft budget, we will be bringing that to you April 24th and 5th, if you see on your calendar. And that'll be a 2-day workshop with the mayor and the council, so you can see every department's individual budget, line item by line item, employee by employee. So that is still, will be coming to you in April. And then the final thing will be the council official approval. Once you meet on those budgets and you may have changes or you have something else to say, then we take all those changes, bring it back for council approval, and that's on May 27th at a public hearing at a special council meeting, I think, I'm not sure, the 27th. And so throughout this cycle, we report to you on a monthly basis. So we have the budget, and then the monthly report brings you current activity, projections, estimated revenues going forward, and that kind of stuff on a monthly basis every month. So that, in just a nutshell, is the budget process. If you see, you have your calendar of events, there's a lot more detail on that, but this is just a simple budget process. What we did at the council retreat, and this is our managers and myself, we gave them budget assumptions and we gave them information to prepare their draft budget. And we're saying that we're going to do a 2% revenue growth and a 1.6 inflation increase, and that inflation increase is based on a 5-year average of the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. We want to do a 50-day budget reserve, and that's in the general fund. We have said there's not going to be any new programs, so whatever's existing right now that the departments have, that's what we have planned. No new programs, and this is all based on the revenues coming in.
Marietta,
yes.
Stop you real quick. The 1.6 inflation increase for the CPI, when was the last time we looked at that? Was that 2 years ago? Are we 2 years in a 5-year cycle, or is it ever evolving?
We actually just took a 5-year of the back history and just did an average.
The last 5 years ending December 2013.
Yeah. No increases to current programs, and what we talk about that on current programs are pretty much the one-time programs that we may have. Those, you can see those on your budget under the, well, I'm going to talk about a fund right now, but under a Fund 30, which we have as community grants. And those are like food baskets for the needy, domestic violence shelter, safe room, those type of programs. We're not going to do any increases to those programs as we see right now. And this is all what we have already been prepared for. Lower parking meter fees, we've already actually done that. We came from $1 to 50 cents, 2 hours to full. So that's already happened, but that was one of the priorities. Phased airport project, we've already started that implementation. You approved that first phase. So that was one of the priorities, and we're already proceeding on that. E911. What we have right now is continue as is going into the next fiscal year. And obviously this is a whole change of whatever's going to happen. There's going to probably be much discussion on that. But this is how we looked at it a month ago. And what is this is the eco park management and maintenance. We continue to treat it as a one-time cost. It's happened now for the past, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 years, 3rd year. So we need to, the council has decided that we need to bring it in as a reoccurring cost. Between the management of, between the two of them, it's $145,000 of reoccurring money that's going to be affected going into the preparation of the budget.
I'm sorry, Maria. And by the two of them, she means the actual management of the contract for the eco park, as well as a separate contract which is for the maintenance of the park.
Right. So, and not that this is the last, but the least important. It's just that we have a few slides to go through this. The council did express the need for deferred maintenance, and the biggest one is employee compensation. We have not received a raise in the last 4 to 5 years, and it's just something that is going to be costly to implement, but at least try to get to a certain point. And also in infrastructure. We're doing a lot of new projects, but not somewhat repairing some of our older stuff, but not to the tune that we need to keep up with deferred maintenance. This is a little bit more on the employee compensation. I know you've seen it briefly. what we've tried to do, we set up a morale committee based with directors, HR director, line employees, to help us see what we could do as employee compensation. And so this is what we see is the equity gap of people that have been here for a long time, of years of service, if you see like 25, and the newer people coming in, and how the pay is for those, the people across the board. So this just shows the, just shows the current step, the equity gap, and the years of service on this one. And this chart just shows the compensation, a tune of 348 across all funds. And when we get into the structure, you'll see what the funds are. And 61, just a general view, I think you all know what this is. 25% plus 2% for 25 employees, 25 cents plus 4% for 67, and 25 cents plus 8% for 21 of the workforce. And so that's how the disparity works of what people are either paid now and where they should be. And this isn't getting them. The next slide will show that the gap is closing, but not, I mean, you can see the gray where this first year takes care of that. But there's still a big disparity throughout. And this is more a deferred maintenance plan for going forward, hopefully for the next 5 years.
Marietta, real quick, just for the council, the new city members, can you tell them how finance and HR got to this point with regards to slide, with regards to knowing the equity gap?
And I'll yield to Morris because they did more of the behind the scenes of the process that they took.
Real briefly, the committee decided to identify individually, number one, the years of service for the employees. They decided that it was most important to take care of the long-term employees first as they get closer to retirement. The top line that you see represents all the employees and their individual years of service, and you see we go from very new ones to very long-term employees. The lighter bar on the bottom represents where those employees are now in their individual compensation. The gap between the two, between the light bar and the top line, is the equity gap. That's where they are versus where they should be. The committee decided that it was more important to take care, to address the ones farthest from their equity point first, instead of everybody equally. If you can go back one slide, this represents within the distribution of where the employees stand. Very far over on the left are the ones that are the least disadvantaged. There's 25 of them. They're 3 steps, they're less than 3 steps from their point of equity. So they would get 25 cents plus 2%. The biggest group is right in the middle. There's 67 of them. They're between 3 and 13 steps on the pay plan from their equity point. So they would get 25 cents plus 4%. The ones most disadvantaged, there's 21 of them. So the plan calls for them to get 25 cents plus 8%. Now go back to the other one. That results in the ones further to the right getting higher increases to move them closer to their equity point faster than the ones that are at or not so far. So the plan gets the ones furthest away, most in line, and that was by the committee's decision. So that's what this represents.
How soon could we expect to see a readjustment in the payment plan to kind of level out those equity gaps? Because the understanding is that there's some disparity in between funds that some of those employees we never see.
Right, and that's you'll see that later on as one of our goals within Human Resources, to keep this committee working constantly, to have, personally, I haven't discussed this with the committee, but I think that we can commit to having it done, or at least a very, very good effort with having consultants done by the end of this calendar year. with assessment of all job descriptions and their placement in the proper range and steps.
If I could ask this question. If you were to put in a line for industry average for those positions,
For just about everyone, except for the ones that you see on the very far left, those bars that are above the line, those ones are probably close to industry. All the ones further towards the right are going to be, and I'm not going to say everyone, but at least 90% of them would be below industry average.
Even at the equity.
Yes, even at.
the question I'm having is more related to people getting outside of the average based upon years of service rather than quality work. And that's, because I think that we have to start looking at individual pay based upon the average, industry average, and making our salary is based upon what that job description should be. And bringing in line, and that also what creates the ability for in-system advancement. They can look and say, well, I'll go to this job and I got good baseball.
Right, and you raise a couple of good points there, Counselor, is that this is just pure compensation. I ask, well, why do people come and work for the Town of Taos? A lot of it is the benefit package, and the other part that we want to address is employee incentives. This does not include the police department. The police department has a form of incentives for greater ability and greater performance results in better compensation. And we want to move to that type of concept within all the other town employees also.
And I think it would be good if we showed, even if there was just one more set of graphs in there, to show what the value added is for employee benefit. I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Just because that may offset some of that equity.
It's a big factor.
It's not 100% paid. I see our employees as being as a part, well, pay is impartial to some. I think many wouldn't trade a $4 an hour raise for the loss of insurance with a family. So I think it's important to show that spread also.
I think we can incorporate that into as another color on the bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Maria.
Sure. So what we're going to do is go into the actual structure, and we try to put this into just an overall picture, not to get too much detail, but to point out some of the major things of this. So this picture reflects all our revenue sources with the entire Town of Taos budget. That's everything all together. And you can see the reserves are $14.6 million, one of the biggest things coming forward. And municipal tax, 6.8, and 4.8 for state show tax. So you can see those two combined are pretty a large amount of our revenue sources. The municipal tax down here at the 6.83%, that's a total of 1.5625 of our overall 8.1875 GRT rate. So that's what that one municipal tax pictures in the whole Town of Taos budget. I don't know if you just have any simple questions. You want to just take a look at it, and we'll just go to the next slide. So this is all revenue sources at a total of $47 million. The next one is revenues by fund. And same thing, this is the total budget again of revenue, 47, but this is now enterprise fund, capital fund. Enterprise is water, sewer, solid waste, landfill, debt service, general fund, and special community grants and capital. Capital is all the infrastructure, buildings, roads, and that. So that's a picture of expenditures, revenues, I'm sorry. Next one, expenditures. Townwide, $39 million. You can see our employee benefits and our wages at about $9 million. And that's about 25% of the overall budget on expenditures. And then capital is obviously the largest at 46%. But you see down here in the corner, you'll see what we've done is put the revenues, total budget, the expenditures of $39 million, and an ending balance of $8 million. So this picture just shows the ending balance and what that money belongs to. The reserves of $5.1 to the enterprise fund, and general fund 1.4, and you'll see the other ones then. And just to give you an idea, if you look at your budget, there's a recap sheet. If you go to that recap sheet, you can see all the detailed information, and these numbers are coming from that. So this breaks it down to just the general fund, which is our largest operating budget. Our revenues in general fund is $12,214,000, and the largest one of this is also the state share gross receipts tax and the municipal tax. So those two combined together is 70% of our revenue source in general fund. So we're very dependent on gross receipts tax in our general fund. Where we don't have, the only other thing is maybe the property tax is a big amount. In general fund by expenditures by category, again, $10,795,000. Of that, you can see wages and employee benefits are the biggest part, and then going to the operations of $1.3 million for all of general fund. And on this side too, of 146 employees, or 73% of the workforce, is paid out of general fund. What we put here is just the same expenditures, but by function. You can see public safety is obviously the largest. That's police, fire, communications at $3.4 million. And if you see, the next biggest one is culture and recreation. So that's library, youth and family center, pool, that situation. And if you see, streets is at 131. So we provide a lot of the other activities for everybody around the county and the town for services that we provide. So you can see the money there is also in that picture.
Councilman?
Area, we'll go back, I'm going to go back to the previous, you're still on it, never mind. Well, no, go back to one there. The employee benefits is what percentage of the employee total cost? So 40%?
38.
What is included in that?
And the employee benefits are the medical, the retirement, retiree health care, and whatever other, but those are the standard ones that are included in there.
Is your workers' comp in there?
Workers' comp is in there too, right, yes.
So it's good.
Workers' comp is also in there. And workers' comp is roughly $371,000 throughout everything.
So it's 10%.
Yes.
Of your benefits tax. A little more. Okay, so when you look at that, out of a $11 million budget, what, $7 million is employees.
$7,328,000 is employees, and that's roughly 67%. 67% of the whole operating is employees.
Thank you.
So this is the ending balance in general fund, and based on the current approved budget. Obviously, this is going to change throughout the year, but we just wanted to present. We have our 112 state required reserve, 30 days off of general fund, and an additional 20 days in the general fund of reserve. And so you can see revenues 12.3 million, expenditures 10, and the ending balance is 1.4, and that's how it's distributed. So the next one, the recap of in your budget is special funds. There's items under special funds, and this just shows the revenue sources, 5.5 million. Charges for services, municipal tax are the two largest, and charges for services, let me just go real quick. Other than that, that's it. Those two are the largest on this one. Special funds on expenditures is 5.1 million. And you can see the wages and the benefits are not as big as some of the operating and contractual services and capital, because we have things like fire protection fund in special, lodgers tax in special fund, communications is in this special fund category. So there's only 33 employees, or 16% of the workforce, in these special funds. And the next one, same type of summary. You have your revenues of 5.5 million, expenditures 5.1, with an ending balance of 388. And what we've shown here is just an ending balance by program. So largest is communications at 114, lodgers tax at 73, and promotional at 79. And granted, I just want to make sure that we understand these are just budgeted figures. This is another larger fund is the capital fund, which includes all the capital projects. We have the majority of revenue sources, $15 million comes from grants and bonds. And then the additional amount comes from reserves. So either projects that were budgeted, didn't finish it, their money comes over to complete them the next year. Capital fund expenditures, $14 million.
We just back up 1 second.
Sure.
The lodgers tax. Is there a breakdown? You probably don't have it here, but there is a breakdown that I can look at.
Yes.
Is there lodgers tax that is actually spent on public transportation?
Yes. Yes. And this is going to give you an overview, so like when you actually go to your budget, hopefully you'll get the concept of, okay, special fund and lodgers tax, and everything on that recap is detailed behind the budget. So, and like I said, when this is all done, I'm sure new council members, if we meet with myself and the manager to go over certain items individually, that, we're available to do that. So this is the next, okay, we're back. So expenditures of $14.7 million, and this is all the capital expenditures, and you see our biggest expenditure is infrastructure, $12 million. Infrastructure is airport improvements, streets, actually buildings are separate, $1.2 million in buildings. So the biggest is the infrastructure, mainly the streets, and the airport is a big part of that, $12 million. Same process, ending balance in the capital funds. We start with 15.7 revenues, expenditures of 14.7. The difference is